Welcome back to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ, where we are looking at a different Netflix original film in the order of release each week. This time around, we're looking at Netflix 40th film, boys. 40.
Well done.
Big 4-0.
God, I'm proud of us.
It's the 2017 crime film Shimmer Lake, directed by Oren Uziel. It stars Benjamin Walker, Wyatt Russell, Rainn Wilson, Adam Pally, John Michael Higgins, Ron Livingston, Stephanie Sigman and Rob Corddry. Hello.
You know what? I realise after 40 episodes that I tune out when you do your introduction and I try and sort of get my thoughts together, which is really bad because I made an effort to listen to you then and I enjoyed it. And I think it's a really good introduction.
I really like some feedback.
I listen to you every week, Jesse, just so you know. Well, I think you're great every week.
Thanks, Heater.
Well, I thought you were excellent today. I can't vouch for other weeks.
You guys definitely
the last 39.
You make me feel really good, so thank you. I apprate that.
If I'm really bad in this podcast, though, it's because I didn't take those few seconds to capture myself.
Together.
Yeah.
We can go some dead silence now if you like.
No. I'm in now. I feel warm. I'm ready to
Good
go.
film.
Good film. Do you want to do the ratings now? Yep.
Dead silence.
Dead Silence.
That's
sorry.
good. That's tough.
Dead Silence.
You didn't even get my joke.
Sorry. But Dead Silence is an excellent, very unknown film. James Wan, Lee Winnell, the guys who did Saw, Ryan Quanten, is that what's his name? Donnie Wahlberg. Very good film, Dead Silence. Anyway, sorry, we've gone off track, but
We sure have. So this week we're looking at Shimmer Lake.
Which movie are we doing?
because I wasn't. No, I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
Ruin the episode.
You're thrown in.
So what we always do is we have a quick little summary of our thoughts on the film called Fast Flicks. So look at that little emphasis, the Fast Flicks. I might try and do that each week.
That's a good one. I like that.
We need some little jingle. All right, Fast Flicks. MJ, go for it.
All right, Fast Flicks for Shimmer Lake. A clever crime drama that goes back through time to reveal details of a small-town bank robbery.
Short, sweet, bang, good. Heater.
Told in reverse, the story follows a small-town sheriff as he investigates a bank robbery by three criminals, one of them being his brother.
Good. I've gone, a bank robbery goes wrong, leaving the audience to watch events in reverse order. What a surprise.
Cool.
You can't really ignore that reverse order thing, can you?
It's not at all.
Main part of the film.
Sure was. All right, let's have a look at anything that we've learnt about this film in our research before or after or whatever we've done. Anything that we learnt about Shimmer Lake.
Heater.
I didn't actually find a lot on this film, but one was that Variety magazine listed Shimmer Lake as the standout 2017 contender for the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
Saw that. Where did I read that? Was that on Wikipedia or IMDb or something?
It was on definitely the internet somewhere. I can't remember which one, sorry, but it was on the internet.
I read that as I think it was.
Who made that claim? Did you have a name?
No, I read that. It just said Variety magazine.
It just Variety magazine said it.
I'm going to research Variety and work out who this person is.
That's quite a compliment given.
It was on the blacklist.
It was on the blacklist.
We've spoken about before. 2009.
Yeah, so it was on there for a while.
Yeah.
I was confused. I did a lot of reading on the director, and he wrote this script, but I wasn't sure whether he wrote it in 2009 and came back with it, or he picked it up once. That would be quite interesting to find out, but I couldn't find that out.
This is the director's only directing credit.
He's
done a lot of writing.
A lot of writing, shorts, TV episodes, a couple of films, but this was the first film he's directed.
He said he hadn't even directed a short.
Yeah, first directing credit.
And he said that he was petrified on his first day of shooting. Yeah. And he was basically just like, well, I've bullshitted this far, I'm just going to keep bullshitting. And, the machine just rolls on kind of thing.
It's quite interesting too because some of the films he has written for are quite big films.
Yeah. Well, that's what I imagine he got this film from, that he's got a name in Hollywood.
Yeah, so. Well, 22 Jump Street.
22 Jump Street was one of them, wasn't it?
Another Netflix film that we're looking at pretty soon, The Cloverfield Paradox.
Yep.
And then some big films that are coming out soon that I've heard heaps about, like Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Detective Pikachu 2.
This is the second Pikachu.
And Supergirl. So
is there a sequel for Detective Pikachu?
Apparently. I didn't even know that, but yes, there's a sequel coming out. So, yeah.
They're very different films to this.
Yeah. Very different. Yeah, well, what do the critics say?
Pretty decent.
Yeah, not bad.
60% on Rotten Tomatoes, only on 10
reviews.
Audience was exactly the same.
60% of what, 471? rating.
6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which you could say is 62%.
Yeah.
Oh, this is weird.
And Letterboxd is a 2.9 out of 5, which is basically 60%.
58%.
58%. Close enough.
Illuminati.
So everyone kind of knows what they like.
IMDb was 8,700. Letterboxd was 3,000. So
That's a lot from what we've
pretty
been
good.
doing.
Pretty good.
It's a big enough sample size to know that this
Yeah.
is basically where this film sits.
Yeah, about a 6 out of 10, basically, it seems, from everyone.
For a small film on Netflix for a first-time director, you'd take those results.
Absolutely.
Even though it's a decent cast, but you would take those results.
Released in June 2017, Netflix worldwide.
It's disheartening to know that we're still 2 years away from getting up to current.
We will get there. We will definitely
up
get
More
there.
than 2 years away.
Filmed in Canada,
It was.
in Toronto.
Toronto.
There was one little product placement that I picked up on.
Fruit Loops.
Didn't pick up on that, but maybe.
Remember?
Yeah, she could
Yeah,
cereal
at the start of the movie,
start.
yeah.
Yeah.
My one was Wendy's. So
Yeah.
the
His
joke
date-
on
he's got
his
this
date
with Wendy, and he's eating it.
Yeah, keeps going out on this date with Wendy, and it's actually the food. That's the date. Is the
Wendy's is
takeaway.
a real food chain, isn't it?
food chain in America.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
correct, yeah.
We don't get it in Australia, do we?
No, we don't. Unfortunately,
Is it just like a McDonald's kind of Hungry Jack's?
Yep.
Yeah. Burger
Carl's
King.
Jr. sort of thing. Yeah,
Carl's Jr. Yeah.
Well, you two are the big Stephen King fans. Which book was he reading?
It was
In the bank.
It was the exact same version of different seasons that I own.
That you own?
Yep. As soon as you saw it, I know, and I saw that on IMDb as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I wrote that down.
I think they said it was a reprint of it.
Well, that's the version that
That's
I
the
have.
version you've got, yeah.
There's a couple. I read a couple of different things saying it was. I need
Nah.
to go back and look at it. There were a couple of things that said it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's something else. And it is 100% different seasons. Because as soon as he saw that, I'm like, that's the version
I
have.
read it was different seasons, yeah. That's what you got.
So different seasons. If you listened to our episode last week, that's my favourite war film. Shawshank Redemption. It's actually called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. It's got The Body in it,
Body's
which is
in it.
made into another good film.
The Body,
called
yeah, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
The Body is a very good short story. I thoroughly recommend it.
And the other two I can't remember.
Yeah, because they're not made into big films.
Apt Pupil
Yeah.
and The Breathing Method. That's the
yeah.
other one.
I'll check when I get home and I'll send you boys a photo, but I'm sure
Yeah.
it's the exact same version of different seasons.
That scene came on and I saw Stephen King. I thought of you boys straight away. I'm like, oh, they'll know this one. They'll know what we're doing.
Jesse's a huge Stephen King
I
fan.
do love my Stephen King books. So as I'm sitting here, I can probably look at quite a few sitting here in our studio wall.
There are.
And Mr. King, if you are listening, which you probably are, feel free to
Tweet.
Yeah, let us know if there's any films that you'd like us to dissect a bit closer.
Well, I think in the next couple of months we'll be doing 2 Stephen King films.
All right, we'll let him know.
There are 2 coming up.
Ooh, can't wait for
I
that.
think he listens most weeks.
Gerald's Game and 1922.
22, yeah.
Gerald's Game.
They're actually both very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, very soon. So we'll look forward to those. Anything else, or should we give our early thoughts?
Yeah, that was all I had.
Yeah, there wasn't too much.
Not too much. All right. Well, Heater, what are your early thoughts on this film?
I like this film. It was good. My thoughts. That was good. It's, I love a good crime movie. It was really cool. I was told in reverse. That kind of mystery was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching this film.
Good.
Me too. I initially thought that the deed itself, so the idea of these guys robbing the bank and then they were trying to find them, I thought that wasn't very exciting, so that they played around with the format to make the film more interesting. So I wasn't expecting the twist, so I was satisfied with the twist. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about spoilers in this podcast, so if you haven't seen it and you want to see it,
Come listen to us.
stop
later.
listening. Yeah,
The
stop
twist was
listening
good
right now. So it was really clever to have it occur prior to all the former events that we've seen. And then in that sense, I thought it was a really impressive job to unfold these characters in the middle part of the film out of chronological order. I was, appreciated the effort of that craft, because that would have taken a lot of thought, especially in the writing of that script, to get that right. So I was very impressed with that. I really enjoyed it too.
Jesse, what do you think?
I can tell
Jesse didn't like this movie.
So hard.
when we were talking about the Oscar buzz, you were like, "Well, I got to find out who that guy is."
I've
I'm
been
like,
trying not to laugh. The premise of this film, I was like, I really want to love this film. I was like on board. I'm like, this is a sweet sounding premise.
Crime films are great.
Yeah, and I really wanted to like it, but it just felt way too cheap. The acting was really off-putting, and I just thought it was awkward overall. So looks like we're gonna have a nice little discussion
Two
about.
against one.
Did you like the twist?
I thought the twist was.
Did you see it coming?
Bits and pieces. I didn't get the whole twist, but there was parts of the twist where I was like, okay, yeah, I can see where this is going.
Interesting.
I'm glad I didn't.
I was blindsided by it. I had no idea. I was like, oh, wow. That is cool.
And I'm still...
Yeah.
There's still a lot of things that were very convenient about it. But we'll get into that. But I was pretty happy with the twist.
All right, you guys like this film more than me, so give us some characters that you liked.
I thought it was interesting that he cast a lot of comedic actors in more serious roles.
Yeah.
There was a tinge of comedy through this film, which I actually don't think worked very well. And probably a lot of the negatives I had with this was like, don't try and be funny, or that joke doesn't work. But that was kind of his way of setting the tone, making it a bit lighter, but still getting them to play serious roles, even though they're known sort of comedy actors. But sorry, in terms of characters, I found Zeke, obviously the lead
Sheriff.
character, Sheriff. I found him a little bit boring, and not in a bad way, more so in a, is this guy the lead of a film kind of way. And that actually made the twist a hell of a lot more surprising for me, because I never overthought his character. Like, I was just like, here's this guy who's a bit boring. In hindsight, I think subconsciously that he was really blasé about so many things when investigating this crime.
Because of...
Exactly.
the twist,
So he was very, very deadpan and very methodical, but they do a good job of letting you know or think that that's just part of his character.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I'd like to see it again. I think it'd be bleedingly obvious, to be honest.
It'd be interesting to watch it again now that you know kind of the twist at the end, being able to watch it through and go, okay.
Even just
things
thinking
he's
about it,
doing,
I'm just like, oh, that was obvious.
I read somewhere
sorry.
they almost said that this was Netflix's first interactive film, and it was made in the way where it allows for that repeat viewing, where you can just jump back on and go watch it again multiple times, so you can pick up on those things.
You pick up on a lot of things, I reckon, yeah. I really like the character of Zeke. Yeah, I thought he was good to watch the whole way through. I was really interested in him.
I had him as the culprit straight away.
Did you?
Yeah, but not how it turned out, but I had him as a culprit in some way and something to do with it. I thought he was really smarmy, and the relationship of him with his brothers, like his niece and his sister-in-law, Martha and Sally, I just thought that relationship was really weird the whole way, and I just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I liked his relationship with his niece. The relationship with his sister-in-law I thought was really weird. Yeah. The way they interacted with each other I thought was pretty weird.
Like the whole not liking her food was not funny. Like, I didn't get that, and they kept playing that joke over and
that
over.
One didn't work.
And then like there's this line where he's like, he told them that he thought they deserved better than this, and the whole time I thought maybe he wants Sally. And then as it reveals, you sort of get why he's got that jealousy about Sally.
Yeah.
Because of the kid that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers early, but...
It was weird when she said something like, oh, I can't believe you're not... Well, not weird. Like, I thought when she said, oh, I can't believe you're not a father, or why haven't you got kids? I was like, it's a weird thing to say. But again, it didn't trigger with me. And the whole time, I agree. I found that dynamic with her quite strange. Zeke and what was her name? The wife.
Sally and Sally's the kid, Martha's the wife.
I thought Martha and Zeke had a very weird dynamic, but I kind of put that down to Zeke being like this deadpan, disgruntled, like, I really don't care what's going on. But I'm like, your brother's kind of...
That's where you need that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why I think if you watch this again, and maybe I was just naive, and I'm glad I was naive, but if you watch it again, there'd be so many triggers that are really obvious, which is fun.
So,
I can think back now and go, oh, of course, but I didn't pick it up on at the time, which is good. Which is probably why, it would have sucked a bit for you if you...
I suspected him for something, because my thoughts first off were he has had something to do with the death, because he wants to sort of slip in and be like that father to Sally. That was my thoughts the whole way through.
Okay.
So I was never expecting a big twist, because my whole thing was this crime itself pretty dull. The crime that we're talking about here is 3 guys who have robbed a bank. There's a couple of guys that have ended up dead because of it. But I don't think the crime's that interesting, which is why we're doing this really clever concept of going back in time. And that's what I was thinking. I didn't get lost in thinking I'm going to get, blindsided here at all. I just thought, okay, this is a cool way to tell a story. At the end of the day, I'm going to sit there and go, nah, that was all right.
Okay.
And so that's why I was actually quite impressed with it.
What about some other characters?
What do you got, mate?
I like the FBI agents. They were good.
they were bad.
They were good.
Horrible.
What are they? Rod Corddry and Rainn Wilson.
Kurt and Kyle.
Kurt and Kyle. I enjoyed watching them on screen.
They're just another one of those idiot cops.
Yeah, no, they didn't work. I didn't think much of them.
Well, I liked them.
All right, yeah.
Good work, guys.
So you thought they were funny? Is that the main reason? Sorry.
they weren't laugh out loud funny, but it was just some good kind of comic relief in the middle. Like the scenes where the sheriff goes out and he goes, I know FBI just want to take over and stuff, and they're just kind of like, we don't care, like we're the B team, you just do your thing. I just like the scenes with them involved.
Yeah, cool. Andy Sykes, who is Zeke's brother, played by Rainn Wilson, part of Dwight from The Office. Obviously, the main guy. They're one of the main guys they're trying to track down, who they kill. I probably would have liked to know more about his desperation. I know he was going through a divorce and he'd lost his job. Okay, but is that worth robbing a bank for?
Yeah. I can't say I was a big fan of that character either.
No, I know we're talking about characters, but do you reckon that was a wrong cast? Like, they shouldn't have cast him.
I thought he was good. I liked his cocky desperation that he had. I enjoyed the fact that, because he was really desperate and pathetic, but he had this cockiness to him that he thought he knew what he was doing. But I didn't quite understand where he was coming from to get to that point. I thought he did a good job. But mind you, I haven't watched The Office, so...
Okay. I'm just used to seeing him as a pretty funny guy.
I did find it a bit hard to not see him as Dwight.
Yeah.
Having watched him for 9 seasons of The Office, it did seem like which is completely, I guess, unfair on him, because I see him as this kind of goofy comedy guy to come in this bank robber. It did seem like a strange casting choice, but he did an okay job. I just wasn't a big fan of his character.
That's why guys
in
get
general.
typecast. That's why
exactly,
they can't
Which it's.
And I find it weird though, because he's in Star Trek Discovery, which is like the latest iteration of Star Trek on Netflix, CBS All Access in the States. He plays this character called Harry Mudd, it's a recreation of a character from the original series, and the original character was like this sort of comedic, sort of over the top character, whereas in this new iteration he plays a very dark, sort of sinister character. So I've seen him play a real deep role, and I believe that. Whereas this one, I was just, I don't know, and it's probably an issue that I've got with the film is maybe it should have been like they should have gone more for the laughs the whole way, and it should have been a comedy with a twist rather than, because I'm in it thinking this is like a thriller you got to think about rather than worrying about, like if you had him as like a comedic sort of relief, then maybe I would have liked him better. I don't know.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't comedic in this.
No,
but
no.
To that point, all I've seen of The Office is like clips on YouTube of him and John Krasinski doing funny stuff to each other, which without context,
which is great.
I find really funny. But I had no issues with him. I thought he was fine. I enjoyed him I enjoyed that, as I said, that cocky desperation. I just didn't quite understand why he was at that point. Like, he had a great job, lost his job, was going through a divorce. I don't know. You don't rob a bank because of that. But small town, things are different. Yeah. If you lose a job like that, what opportunities do you have?
Definitely. I mean, it was also probably more he was kind of maybe pulled in by Ed Burton because of their involvement in that. So maybe it was more he was pulled in was the reasoning, but they didn't do enough to explain. He said the reasoning why he's doing it. Like there's you could say a bunch of different theories as to why, but they didn't explain.
I get that. They linked them to him because of that explosion.
So you spoke about Ed. What did you think of Ed?
I feel like his character kind of changed. Like, so the kind of the start of maybe midway through the movie, like he
wasn't in the first half of the
movie. Yeah. So about halfway through, maybe when he's on the phone with the judge and like he's acting really like cool, calm, and collected because he's bribing the judge and stuff. Compared to then when he's robbing the bank and he gets found out immediately, he kind of then I think he starts to act. His character turns a bit stupid, a bit dumb. I think it was really a bit different to when he was kind of on the phone with the judge bribing him, and I just thought his character as the movie went on he got a bit.
So they set him up as like the criminal mastermind.
Yeah,
like you don't meet Ed because as far as you know. Everyone's looking for Ed.
Yeah.
Because Ed's the one that spearheaded this whole thing. Yeah. And he's gone missing. So you sit there and go, this guy's crafty. He knows what he's doing. And the first time you learn of Ed, he's fully in control of this job, this heist, whatever you want to call it. And for me, not overthinking this film, didn't have any reason to believe that wasn't the case. I was of full understanding that he took the money, he had plans of what he was going to do, and he was going to nick off. And when he gets into the bank, and as he said, he sort of starts to lose his control a little bit and show that he's no criminal mastermind, that makes sense of what's about to happen.
Yeah.
So it kind of works out quite well, but as a character, I don't think we know enough about him to...
Yeah, and I think the way that I went into the film was like I'm overthinking the whole thing, trying to work out who did what. So for him rocking up halfway through the film or not seeing him halfway through in the reverse, it's like he's not a suspect at all to me.
But you understand why, because the idea is that
He's gone, like, at the first half of the movie, like he's fled to Mexico or something.
I get that.
You know what? I didn't even click.
But that didn't even make me think that he was a suspect because after the first day you see Andy get shot.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the crime that I'm trying to solve.
You thought pretty hard in this movie while you were watching it.
So you would have seen Ed's tattoo, right?
Well, they both have that tattoo.
I didn't notice Zeke's until the very end.
And that was the reveal.
Yeah.
So
that's revealed then, yeah.
Exactly. So when you saw Ed's tattoo the first time,
You think that he
did you just automatically think he shoots Andy?
No, because they're in the car and they're talking about.
I get it. I get it. I didn't. Yeah, that didn't click with me. And as soon as I saw Zeke's tattoo, I was like, "Oh, they played together." Like,
and that really annoyed me. How much emphasis at that scene with the arm out the car door with the gun. How much emphasis on that tattoo? I was like, it's too obvious to have to worry about it.
Yeah, you're a better man than me, because that's why I enjoyed this film. I didn't overthink it once.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, maybe it's because okay. Anyway.
You know what? I
I'm lost for words a little bit because
I stupidly didn't think that scene where he shoots Andy was going to be as far as we go chronologically. But the format of the film, of course it was. We're going back from that moment. We go back in time.
Yeah.
So the idea of Ed disappearing off to somewhere, how are we ever going to know? So the indicators are there, and I've not thought.
To me, I didn't care about the bank robbery. I cared about who killed Andy.
I don't think anyone did care about the bank robbery.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that happened.
Yeah.
We knew that they successfully got out of the bank and stole the money.
Yeah.
Well, we thought they did. The only other character I'd probably mention is Steph.
Yeah.
So she became. So she was ice cold through this whole film.
Yep.
Arguably, the brains behind this, and happy to kill. She had her reasons, but ice cold. But to me, she became really humanized when she eventually told Ed just before they were at the bank that he had an out. You don't have to do this. Do you think she was genuine there, or do you think that was playing up to his ego? Or at the time, I thought she was genuine. Thinking back, I'm
I really
like,
thought about it.
She really needed him to go into that bank.
I would have said she was genuine watching the film.
Yeah, I agree. But now I think back
looking back,
because that humanizes her.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, because then you think about the whole. I just felt like she was going to end up with Zeke anyway.
See, I didn't have that.
I'm sorry, no, I didn't think that in the film. But like thinking about going backwards, like we're talking about, like, I don't know. I'm thinking about being her. If she's in that scene asking him to go out, in her mind, the end game is to be with Zeke, though. So, do you think that she would have changed for wanting to be with Zeke?
Yeah, but was there a part of her who's like, I actually don't want to kill you anymore?
I don't think the intention was going to be to kill him, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because she killed his son.
Yeah, that's why they all had.
I know they wanted payback for the son, but don't you think they were going to try and frame them?
No, I thought they were going to kill them all.
Yeah, I thought it was all about killing them.
Okay.
Like, he didn't have to kill Andy at the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Zeke says at some point, like, we're going to kill everyone who was involved.
Okay.
They could have. He put the money in the boot. They could have driven off.
Yeah.
Instead, he was just.
Yeah, it was about punishing them.
Okay.
Everyone who was involved.
All right.
What did you think of Steph, Jesse?
I thought she was a pretty useless character.
For someone who was a bit of a puppeteer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't connect with her, or like, I get she's lost her son, but the motives to me were just not.
Yeah. And that's right, where I think there was a bit of convenience to it, that I got caught up in the emotion of it and was like, this is great, this is fun, and I think about it and go, well, that was a bit lucky. Oh, are they together? Oh, why did she have a baby with him and then just bring it up with the other guy? Like, there's a few things like that where I can understand why, if this movie wasn't doing much for you.
Yeah.
You could be thinking about it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was the same as you. I was caught up in it like the whole way through. Wasn't even thinking about all these tiny details.
I thought like Sally and Martha, like the mum and the daughter, I thought they were pretty useless characters too.
Yeah, me too.
Thought Judge Dawkins, like, didn't do much for me. He was just this corrupt guy that you just had as that side story.
Towards him.
It's an interesting part of the story, though. Played a pretty big role.
He did really.
Because apart from him, it's just 3 legit criminals and one guy who played a huge part in what happened, but he's pretty high up in and that scene with his wife, he's so regretful that he's got himself stuck in this.
Reed, Zeke's partner. That same joke, they just played that same joke over about him not being able to sit in the front seat. And I like that.
You like that one? I like that one.
I liked it too because the first time I was like, what the hell is going on?
Like when he cracks it on the driveway.
And then I liked it. That's one of the few things I found funny.
I also liked as well, like he kind of maybe came across as a bit of a not as intelligent police officer, and then kind of
still came across more intelligent than the FBI guy.
Yeah, but maybe it's about halfway through, and like he's he knows that Zeke was on the phone with Andy or something. He says something like, just make sure that you're not getting in trouble. Kind of showing that he's got his back. Like he knows it might not be legal, but hey, I'm your partner. I've got your back. I really like that kind of moment as well.
And I didn't like Chris, the stupid guy,
the meth addict.
Yeah,
Chris was just a plot point or a vehicle.
Yeah. Didn't like him.
Yeah, there wasn't much to that character. That was a bit too convenient, a bit too easy.
Cool. All right.
Good scenes?
Yeah, good scenes.
This is a beautiful opening shot with what I have described as mysterious music on the grey lake. And I think there was a bit of light rain as well, just when the film first opens up. It was beautiful. I loved it. Do you guys remember it?
I do.
Yeah,
I do like it.
Slowly zoomed in a little bit, and it went up.
Yeah, and they just showed the credits or the acting on this. I just really, really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I also enjoyed. I mentioned picking up the read every day, but I loved the.
I like that running gag. Good.
I love the scene at the end with that real up-tempo music as Zeke walks back inside and lays on the floor, just letting everything sink in for you. Felt a lot like Saw.
Oh my god. Okay. Music reminded me of the Saw reveal music, but I had that in my hated scenes. Because I was like, this is not a reveal like Saw.
It's not a reveal like Saw.
So I was like, don't try and play it off like that.
Saw is still arguably the greatest reveal.
And it's our second Saw reference today in this episode.
What was the other one?
Dead Silence. We spoke about James
No, I really like that because to me everything was still sinking in, and then he's walking back in. I'm like, oh, he's full committed to this. Yep. And it did feel like Saw.
Yeah,
I want to get that as my ringtone.
That'd be scary.
The only other scene. So this was in my this scene as a whole started in my bad scenes, ended up in my good scenes.
Ooh, is that a first?
Yeah,
it's almost a first.
So when the gay meth addict who was with the judge, who I've checked on the credits, his name is Meth Billy. So when he was in the bathroom screaming, it was atrocious. I was like, this is shocking. Why are we watching him scream like an idiot? But then when Judge Dawkins was walking around initially, and at the end of the day, you know that he dies because you saw his body the day before.
Yeah.
But you see him walking around and you don't see the hole in his head. Eventually you turn, you see the hole in his head and he's asking Allison where his slippers are. Man, that severity of that scene really hit me. I was like, whoa.
I had that in my scene because I killed myself laughing when he was hiding in the bathroom.
I hated that.
And then when it just cut to him in just that prolonged scream, I was just like killing myself laughing.
I thought that was really bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but that was the funniest part of the film.
Funny.
How quickly did that scene change?
Yeah,
because it was creepy watching him walk around with a hole in his head. That's me.
I liked the scene when they find Chris Morrow's body in the motel, and you got Zeke then telling the FBI agents about his brother and how he was the prosecutor in the case and how he may have taken a bribe to cover the meth lab exposure. And he kind of him explaining to the FBI agents everything that happened. I liked that kind of that reveal in the way he was telling him. I like the entire bank robbery scene at the end with Zeke kind of taunting Ed about how he, lets the children die, lets the little girl die, how he shoots him through the bag, and then obviously the reveal with Steph coming in. I kind of like that whole end bank robbery scene.
It's a little boy.
Sorry?
It's a little boy.
Little boy, was it? Sorry, not little girl, little boy.
Little Batman toy on his grave.
Boy. I was starting to think, like, Zeke is like super chill about this happening, and then I guess he's like. Then I'm thinking, he knows he's not going to get hurt. Just let it happen. And
at the start, I was kind of thinking like, he obviously knows who this guy is, so he's like, this guy's not going to shoot me.
Yeah,
I'll just sit here and eat.
So I was kind of okay with it,
and because he's kind of like, I know who you are. I'm going to catch you afterwards, kind of thing. But then it turned into.
Can we classify that as a heist?
Heath? It's not a heist. It's a bank robbery.
If you haven't listened to our previous episodes, Heath is very
I'm very particular about what a heist
definition
and what a heist not is.
If you've seen the film Coin Heist, apparently not a heist.
It's not.
And apparently not a movie either.
It's a bloody heist. But
Yeah, this was just a bank robbery.
Okay.
it did start to get me when he kept pushing about the killing the son.
Yeah.
He kept pushing, like, but you killed. I was
Yeah.
like, Zeke, dude, like,
Yeah.
settle down. It's this kid. It's
Do
this
you
guy's
want
son.
to be shot? Like,
It's this guy's son. Yeah, obviously, it wasn't his son. But
and my last one was, I think, my funniest moment of the movie is when his niece Sally's in the front seat and Reed goes to open the door and she tells him to get in the back, and I don't think that Aaron's sworn yet, so I won't swear, but tells him basically to get in the back.
They're going to have an explicit on every episode moving forward.
All right, well, she tells him to get in the back, you fat fucking bastard.
yeah, where did that come from?
That was what I found so funny, because it came out of nowhere. I burst out laughing out loud because it came out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God, that was funny.
I didn't love it, but
Because that whole scene in that car was woeful, because she goes, oh, when I'm dirty, my mum gives me a bath. And he goes, that's what I'm doing for the
Give
whole
this
town,
whole town
giving the
a
whole
bath."
town a bath. And then he goes on and he says, and she's like, oh, why don't you eat mum's breakfast? He's like, because I'd be a fat
fucking
bastard like everyone else in the town.
that was strange.
It
that
was
whole
weird.
food thing.
That was weird. But it's sort of,
Did we miss something with the food thing? Was that more? I'm sure it was more than him just being
He just
healthy.
didn't like his mum's cooking.
It's got to be more
I
to
think.
it. Yeah,
Because he always
that's what they
complained
said.
about what-
That's what they said. I just felt
I don't
there's
know.
more to it.
probably gave him an excuse to eat Wendy's, so he wasn't just eating that food.
That was the
No,
other
that was his partner. Was eating
Reed
Wendy's.
ate Wendy's.
Maybe he just didn't like being there at home.
True.
What was he eating at the bank at the night? He was having like a sandwich or something.
I think, yeah,
Apple.
I feel like he had breakfast in the first
definitely had
scene
an
we saw,
apple.
though. Because then the next call was
Yeah,
like,
he was
what are you
eating
having for
breakfast.
dinner?
Yeah, he was eating breakfast, but he was just avoiding the dinners. I think.
Anyway, maybe I'm overthinking it. What did you like, Jess?
Okay, I like the cut, or the sort of each sort of scene they cut up with the text on the screen saying what the scene was about, and then like everyone woke up at the start of each scene.
yeah.
I like that. It
It's
reminded
like
me
the start of a chapter.
Remind me of Lost. Remind me of like the
okay.
opening scene of Lost where Jack Shepherd just opens his eye and it's like, and then the series, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Lost, the series ends on that sort of same shot. So I liked that. I liked the Stephen King reference, as we spoke about.
Is there more to that reference as well? I'm trying to think.
Well, I read something else about another one of the stories about a car and all that sort of stuff. but
I read
it's
that
obviously
too.
not book, yeah.
Didn't like it
Um,
because they drove away in a Cadillac, and the book was about a Cadillac, something like that. It was crap, and it was the wrong book.
I didn't mind. There's like the call where they're sitting in the police station, the FBI call, and they say, "Oh, we think we've got the suspects." It's a
Oh yeah.
black Camaro, and the suspects are white or something. And they're like, "No, it was like a black people in a white Camaro."
Yeah,
and they're like,
yeah.
"No, it's a black."
The other way around.
I didn't mind that. I thought that was all right. But yeah, that's about where I'm at with what I liked. What did we like?
I just had the one, and it was the FBI agents as well. When Reed said, he's the only smart guy in the room, or he's the smartest guy in the room, and then he's like, his partner's not even in the room after he walks out of the room, and that's when I was thinking because they hadn't really had much humor in it yet, and I was like, are we trying to be funny in this film? Are we? Like, I missed that memo, and their humor never really stuck, and that was just a shocking line. Apart from that, it was just the guy screaming in the shower, which came good that scene. So,
Peter?
My only one is Andy. He's being a dick to his daughter when he's yelling at her because she doesn't want to skip school because he can't go to the dance recital, so he wants her to skip school the next day, and he just kind of screams and yells at her. I could have done without him.
He had a bit in his
screaming
mind,
in her
though.
face. Yeah, but still don't scream at your young daughter who just wants to go to school. I didn't like that scene.
Yep.
I did like it how he's like, dance style tonight? Yeah, no worries. Oh, tonight? Nah, no, can't do tonight. He's robbing a bank.
I've got to rob a bank tonight, guys. Yeah, that was my only one. Jesse, I'm sure you got a list that this probably sounds like.
I thought the opening scene where
Not my opening shot.
No, sorry. Okay, well, sorry. A couple of scenes in where after Andy wakes up off the floor and then the daughter comes in, he's like, "Shh, this is like our secret." I thought that was really weird. It's
creepy.
It was creepy, but I get that they needed to set up this imaginary friend that she has.
Oh, yeah, true. That helped.
But I thought it was weird. Like,
And then
really
also
weird.
Zeke coming down with the gun.
Because
At
he
that
knew.
time, did we know they were brother? Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
And then I'm thinking is he just going to kill his brother? Because I think he knew that if it was anyone, it was going to be Andy.
Yeah, I think he knew.
And then
that,
I was
yeah.
like, dude, they're pretty rough on your
getting
brother.
serious,
But then at
yeah.
the end, that's what he was trying to do. So
I didn't like the postman next door. Like, Andy took his car and it just wasn't a big deal. He's just like, "Oh yeah, can I just get a ride with you?"
Ezekiel.
Yeah, weird. I didn't like all the talk that FBI agents kept talking about Stephanie being so hot and she's from Mexico or whatever. And they're just sitting in the car. Like, it happened like twice. And they're just like, oh, she's so good.
Because I was saying they might go for a holiday down there or something.
Yeah, find out where she's from.
Yeah.
Why? Because we want to go there.
Yeah, didn't like that. I thought most of the dialogue between the FBI and the cops was just woeful. Just
the FBI guys. I just don't think it didn't really work. And I kind of get what he was trying to do with having, because it wasn't full comic relief. It was subtle, but it just didn't.
It wasn't supposed to be a kind of laugh out loud.
No, I know, but it didn't work. That's my issue with it. It really didn't work.
the whole tattoo thing, just like I said before, was crap. Just didn't like it. I just thought it was too obvious. And that follows on, like, when Zeke's in the car with Ed, and Ed's in the front seat, and it was so obvious. Like, it wasn't just a part of the normal dialogue, but he made this comment about, we all date some of the same girls. I was like, oh my God, this is so obvious that everyone is just into Stephanie and everyone's been with Stephanie. So,
God, you're right.
I did not pick that up at all.
like, literally, and it wasn't even it wasn't like the normal conversation. It was just like the camera's on his face and he's like, oh, we've all been with some of the same girls. I'm like, oh man.
So I was reading an interview with the director and he was saying that writing this script was so difficult.
It would have been, yeah.
Because he got to the point where he would write it and he'd give it to someone to read and they'd be like, way too obvious. I know exactly what's going to happen. And then he'd do it again and it's like, well, there's not enough, indicators there. And he kept going round and round. And he even said to the point when they were filming that exact scene that Zeke doesn't smile at all in that scene. And it's almost too obvious, because he in Zeke's head, he's killing Ed that night, right? He's shooting Ed that night. And in that scene, that's the scene where Ed is most human. Ed's just talking
about their
he
life.
needs to live to school. He's clearly not doing not to school. He needs to live.
About like the football game they played in.
And he's being really human and Zeke doesn't need to hear that right now because he's about to kill this guy. And I think at the end they decide to give Zeke like a little smirk or something so you don't think too much of being like, what the hell's up Zeke's ass with this? So it would have been really difficult to get these. And I think my advice to anyone if I was recommending this film, which I would recommend it, is to be like, just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't think too hard about it.
I wouldn't say don't overthink it because that might be what's he trying to hide? No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would just be like, sit back and
I guess
enjoy it. Probably be a testament to that, that you picked it up too early because you were looking for signs.
Yeah. I didn't like there was a scene where the FBI guys are grilling Stephanie about, tell us about Ed. I thought the acting and the dialogue and the jokes were just...
I want to watch that scene again, though. That's what I was thinking. I want to watch that scene again because I want to see Zeke and see Zeke's reactions in that as well.
But it was the FBI guys, I think.
But Zeke was in there.
In the room?
Yeah,
Zeke was in the room.
Yeah.
This was after she banged her head. So it looked like he hit her and then,
Yep.
I didn't like the continual putting down of Chris for being stupid. And especially that scene where he's in the car with Andy and he's like, turn the radio on and he just puts the music on. He's like, no, the radio, like the news radio, so we can hear that we're on the radio. I'm just like, gross.
But they had to make it out like he had a trigger for he doesn't like being called stupid.
Yeah.
And when he got called stupid by the judge, he flipped.
And then that follows on. I didn't like when he was watching Stephanie in the shower. I thought that was just bad acting all around.
a bit of a weird
creepy
scene.
The judge and the wife scene you mentioned before, like that was that scene where you sort of saw that he was a bit apologetic, I guess, for his actions.
He knew he made a mistake and he got in too deep.
There was a line where the wife goes, sometimes boys just need to be with other boys. I was sitting there going, what the hell? Like, what's that got to do with anything that we were looking at?
Did you see the next scene though?
Yeah.
He's with another boy.
Yeah. Sorry. And I've got two last ones. The judge was telling Zeke that, just before when he's saying goodnight to him at the bank, like saying, oh, thanks for looking out for the bank. And he's like, I'll always have your back if you ever get held up.
Making it was so obvious that, hey, someone's coming in tonight, you should shoot him.
Yeah.
So I wrote down a question during that thinking like, wouldn't you ask more questions if you were Zeke?
Yeah.
But then...
He knew
in hindsight, So like, no, he doesn't want to ask questions. I'm just here to eat my dinner.
He just made it very obvious. It's like, hey, someone might come in and try and rob the bank tonight. You should shoot them.
I was really curious, Jesse, because I know you watched this film before me.
Yep.
And when I spoke to you, you said, I can't wait till you watch Shimmer Lake because I really want to talk about it. And I couldn't get a read off you whether it was
good. I did a good job.
Yeah, whether it was like this movie sucked when I talk about it, or I'm just so intrigued by this movie. So
I wanted to be intrigued. Like the premise and everything was like perfect. This is going to be a perfect movie. But
you know what? I wasn't expecting it to be a good premise or anything. I just thought it'd just be this run of the mill cheap film, and that's probably why I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. All right, I'm done with my scenes. What was the movie trying to say? What are some themes or motifs?
paying for your mistakes.
Yep.
Bit too obvious that one, but
This one, getting revenge.
Yeah, revenge, facing your consequences, taking responsibility, and this justice.
Yeah.
You know, what happens when wrongs go unrighted was what he said at the end.
I also like the idea of being the smartest man in the room. They make a point. They say it obviously, but I think the film culminates in the one guy who was thinking ahead of everyone, thinking about what he's going to do. When everyone thought they were making the right decisions, being the smartest man in the room is what gets the results.
There's a little bit about, you know, especially with Ed, I felt like he wanted to get straight, and then it sort of turned a little bit that, you know, people are who they are. Sometimes people are just destined for this life where they just keep this cycle repeating. And, you know, being stuck in bad situations with Andy as well. Like, you know, he was stuck in this bad situation with his wife and his kid.
I don't reckon he worked hard enough to get out of that. But I guess, you know what, they all made that mistake together.
Yeah.
And they all died.
All right, what do we take from this film? What do we take out?
I think one thing that, again, this is probably going to sound silly because I didn't pick up on it, but I think they did a really clever job at referencing Ed Jr. throughout, the kid who died. Like, it was a truly tragic event, and it bounded a lot of them together from a story perspective, which is why they kept bringing it up. But its prominence in the actual twist made it feel like it was right in front of your face all along, even though you didn't know that it was Zeke's kid.
Yep.
It felt, when they revealed it was like, it was right there. Like, this is all about the kid. I mean, I talked about there being a lot of convenience in this story. And I think because of that really clever structure, I thought it was very clever. You tend to overlook how convenient some of the elements of the story are. The fact that Andy killed Judge Dawkins where he wasn't planning on doing it. Judge Dawkins killed Chris Morrow, like, really wasn't planning on doing it. The FBI agents who came on didn't care. Like, there's a lot of things that went
convenient.
That went really well that you couldn't really plan for, even though it made it look like Zeke did plan for it.
Yeah.
But I kind of overlooked it because I was just enjoying the premise.
And that was kind of, because that was sort of, I guess, why I thought maybe they were just trying to frame him for robbing the bank, not trying to kill them all. But, because I don't think, I don't know. I don't think they purposely wanted to kill everyone, but obviously you guys think that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he flat out kills Ed, and he flat out kills
they want the
Andy.
revenge.
But he kills Ed and Andy because everything's gone too far.
I reckon he was always planning on killing them. Yeah, he wanted that revenge. They killed his son.
Yeah,
They played a part in it.
he definitely didn't need to kill Andy. That would have been very easy. But that was pure revenge. He's on the ground and he basically said,
Yeah. And
you killed my son.
Ed's the first person who dies, really.
He is, yeah.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
The way Chris... Is it Chris? Yeah. The way he dies, I'm still not sure on how... Like, she was obviously luring Chris in to, like, have a shower with her or perv on her in the shower. But she also called Judge Dawkins over, obviously not expecting him to kill Chris. Like...
And if, like, they were just dead setting killing everyone, she could have just lured him in the room and killed him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could have killed them both.
So I'm a bit unsure about that one.
Yeah.
But whether they wanted those ones dead or it was mainly... Well, no, they would have wanted
They
Chris
needed,
dead.
yeah. So, yeah. Because she could have just killed him and then get the judge and kill him as well.
So
But
that's
she
what I
didn't.
mean.
Yeah.
Like, there's this convenience to it where you just... And it's only if you really start thinking about it. As I said, when you finish watching this film, I was like, that was good. That was a good film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of a lot of the dialogue and the acting. That was probably what let it down the most for me. But I do like the concept and I liked the format of the film.
That's good. Yeah, the whole kind of reverse day-by-day thing worked really well. It was really intriguing, really good.
Cool. So sometimes we check out if we've used IMDb while we're watching the film to see if we looked up any characters cast. Anyone check out IMDb?
I jumped on Zeke.
Yeah?
I was about halfway through the film and I just could not pick who he was. I'd seen him before, couldn't pick him.
Narcos?
I don't think he was in Narcos. He should have been.
I had to ask.
He should have been. He's the captain from In the Heart of the Sea.
Chris Hemsworth?
Is he really?
No, Chris Hemsworth plays the first mate. So
Same.
Benjamin,
That's right,
same,
yeah.
and Benjamin Walker plays his captain. I was like,
I didn't
exactly where you're from.
I didn't recognise him at all. I did 3. I got 3 IMDb's for this
Whoa.
one. So Kyle Walker, the FBI agent, who was the one with hair, played by Ron Livingston, who plays the dad in The Conjuring. Have you guys seen the first Conjuring film?
Yep.
He's the
I
dad.
feel like I watched that with you.
Um,
He's in Band of Brothers. He's very good in Band of Brothers, yeah.
Rob Corddry, who is obviously in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yes.
I haven't really.
That's where I know him from.
That was the only thing I could think he was in.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
So he's the best mate in Sex Tape.
Okay.
With
I haven't
Jay-Z.
he
So
is,
that's
isn't
what
he?
I
Yeah.
recognise him from.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to IMDb this guy because I've done him a bit recently, but Wyatt Russell, who plays Ed Burton, is in Everybody Wants Some and 22 Jump Street and Table 19. So he's in a lot of films that I like and have seen recently.
My IMDb was Wyatt Russell as well, Ed. But that was because I recently watched this film called Overlord, and it's sort of like a zombie Nazi, produced by J.J. Abrams.
Sounds
one of my
interesting already.
favourites. I thoroughly enjoyed this film.
Zombie
and
Nazis.
He played like this Officer Ford dude in it, and he was like a prominent character. And I was like, oh, that's where I've seen you from.
I'm looking at his IMDb, and he's got a nice little filmography going on. I think he's done some good films, and he's only going to do better films. I watched this space with him.
Highly recommend Overlord. Check it out. All right, got any questions that we want to ask each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Ask.
I saw a tagline for this film that was "Right place, wrong crime." What do you think?
Bad tagline.
Right place.
I don't
Okay,
think
so
it
the
fits.
right place is the wrong crime. So are they saying the bank robbery is the wrong crime, or the murders are the wrong crime?
That's when I look at that tagline, I think that doesn't fit for this film.
I don't think it
And-
fits.
But that's
It makes you think too much for this film too.
but
But maybe that's after watching
when
the
you
film.
say
if
it
don't,
like-
if you don't see the film, you're like, oh, okay, what's the
if
crime?
you say it like that the bank,
Yeah.
you're thinking about this bank robbery. That's what your whole thing is about, this bank robbery. So you think it's correct, that's the right place, but the crime isn't robbing the bank. The crime is killing Ed at the bank.
And I guess we all mentioned the bank robbery in our intro.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's the investigation that we
Yeah.
think it's about.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
It's warmed on me.
Yeah, all right.
What about you? You didn't like it, so did it warm on you?
It's okay.
You don't like changing your mind.
No, don't be silly.
Any questions?
I had a question just about, I guess, Chris Morrow, who is a meth addict. He's quite a dumb person.
Well, he's like burnt most of his brain cells.
Yeah,
is the
like
thing.
surely he's. I mean, it's hard because I guess it wasn't more Steph's plan because she knew what was going on with Ed's, but surely he's just too much of a liability to get involved in a bank robbery.
They needed a driver whose car they didn't
Ah,
recognise.
true.
Yeah, but surely, I mean, even still, like, would you if you're doing a bank robbery, would you trust this guy to be a getaway driver? I just feel like
So you're doing a bank
He was so
robbery,
much of a
Peter.
risk.
It's another convenience thing.
No,
so
no, no,
he can
this
get
is
killed
different.
as
I'd be
well.
asking someone. I'd be asking someone else.
How many
or stealing
people
a car.
can you ask? That's my point, though.
Yeah.
Out of your close friendship
I totally-
group, who would you ask to help rob a bank with you?
Well, you two, obviously.
I think
I can see what
I'm
you're
not-
saying.
I'm
I guess they need that car, but I'm just looking at it
Yeah.
going, this guy who is a meth addict, his brain is scrambled, he's such a liability that if something goes wrong, it's because he's going to do something stupid.
Sure, but there's very few people that you can ask to help
Yeah.
you do a crime like that. And he's probably one that's like, sure, I'll do that.
I can see that, yeah. I just thought he's such a liability and such a danger to get him involved in a bank robbery.
Okay.
Why did Andy treat Steph like his lover? So
Because he was weird.
she was obviously pretending to date him. You know, like
Yep.
he comes in one day, he's like, "Hey, babe," and then he's waiting for her at Shimmer Lake.
Yep.
But there was no
Well,
discussion of
because-
like,
It's the whole thing about Steph. Everyone just loves Steph.
Well, had Ed been in prison?
maybe. But
I think he'd
they
been in
didn't-
prison, so maybe Andy was like kind of...
Maybe that's why the marriage is breaking down, because he's having an affair with
Maybe
Steph.
they didn't show anything of
Yeah.
them dating except for those two little
Except him-
things.
him calling her babe.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, and they didn't even mention like Steph.
But that probably links it as to why Andy got involved.
true.
Otherwise,
'cause
how else
the
would he
Ed
have
link.
involved the... You need
Well, I mean, they were both involved in the initial.
Yeah.
Because they bribed him.
Yeah.
So they probably thought
And
we
he
got
got-
you
and he
under
lost
our
his
thumb.
job, so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, I just that was like, I don't know about this. This never really happened. So she's with Ed, she's also with Zeke, but she's also with Andy. Come on, Steph.
All right.
But that part of it
Yeah.
was obviously their plan to
Yeah.
Get him involved.
get this whole thing going. But
Why did they tell the story backwards? Was it needed? Do you think that this film would have worked if it was just a linear from start to end?
Well, not really, because I guess the start, if you see the bank robbery and him kill him, and it's kind of like, well, we know what's kind of happened. I like the mystery of, there's been a bank robbery, but the mystery is like,
Obviously,
what's happened, who's going to
retell
get
it,
caught
so
and
you have
stuff.
that-
Yeah.
I think it works better
Yeah, it
this
works
way.
better. Yeah.
You know, the
I like this
director
one.
was saying that he came up with the idea. Not that it hasn't been done before, but he came up with the idea because he used to watch. Can't remember what channel he was talking about, but they didn't have ads and they just played movies without ads. So every now and then he'd flick on a movie, and wherever it was in the movie, he'd start watching it. So he was watching this movie one day, and it was halfway through, and then it finished, and he's kind of like, "Oh, how'd this get here and how'd this get here?"
So watch the start.
And then, in a few days later, he flicked and it was the start of the film. And then he watched the start of the film and was like, okay, now it all makes sense. And he's like, not a bad way to structure a film.
Good segue.
I like it.
Good segue. Have you guys seen Memento?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. Memento. Fargo and like it's been done before.
So
Memento is very good.
I was looking up like these types of films, and I found a film that I've added to my watch list on Letterboxd because I was looking up these non-linear sort of films. So there's this one called Peppermint Candy from 2000, and it's directed by Lee Chang-dong. And it looks really good. So I've added it to my watch list on Letterboxd. So if you want to check it out, look at it.
How'd you find it?
Because I was looking up films with starting from the end.
Reverse.
Yeah, going in reverse, and that was one of the highest rated ones. So,
Okay.
Yeah, on Letterboxd. So yeah,
You've seen Memento?
I have seen Memento. Yeah, Memento's great. Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Peppermint Candy.
Real good.
Peppermint Candy. Yeah, 2000 it was released.
Oh, I'll have a look at your Letterboxd.
The film was about asking questions. So does this suggest as adults we are curious?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straightforward, straight easy. All right, last one. Shimmer Lake. Why did they go with that as the title?
I guess
It's tricky.
it doesn't give anything away as to the mystery of it.
I loved the title before seeing it because it felt dark and mysterious.
So it just gives that vibe.
Yeah, because you're right. The actual location. Oh well, I
Because it's
guess
saying Andy's death at Shimmer Lake was really what this film was about. It was a
sure.
brother killing a brother.
And I think it was. And even to your point, where you're like, all I wanted to do was find out who killed Andy. That was, for me, that was important too. Like that was what I wanted to find out too. I'm like, what happens at the end here when they shoot Andy? So, yeah, I'll give it that.
And the Shimmer is this reflection that they're all just bad people looking back at themselves.
Ooh, that's even better.
Ooh, deep.
Only came up with that now. All right. Any other questions, or can we sum this up? Let's wrap it up.
I want to watch it again.
Good. Well, you can. I'm not going to stop you.
Thanks, man.
That's so at the end of each episode, we like to give our film that we've talked about a rating out of 5. Then we add them up and work out our overall score. MJ, tell us your thoughts on this.
As you can probably tell, I was pleasantly surprised with this one. It felt pretty run-of-the-mill early on, but it grabbed my attention with the clever premise, and it paid off for me with a satisfying twist. And I said I think I would benefit from a rewatch, and I'd definitely recommend it to people. 3.5 stars.
Nice. I was let down massively. I thought the premise was really clever and it just didn't hold up for me. And this is another one that Netflix has disappointed me with because they said I had a 90% match. 90% match. And yeah, it's got all the algorithms wrong for me, I think.
That's on you, mate.
Yeah, that's on me for
You
watching the
you algorithm that.
Yeah. It's all the other crap you're watching.
Maybe if like they advertised this as a comedy and advertised it like that, I might have liked it more because I would have been going for the laughs rather than trying to solve this crime the whole time. I don't know. 1.5.
trying to solve a crime.
Nah, 1.5 out of 5 for me. Yep. Heater.
So I enjoyed this film. I think the story was good. I liked the day by day in reverse. It kept me engaged the whole way through. I thought it was just a good, solid film. I give it 3 out of 5.
Needs more because Jesse gave it 1.5. I need you to lift it up.
So what does that give us as an average?
2.67
Good.
out of 5.
Sounds about right.
I feel like we've had a fair few 2.67s in our time.
We have. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. We have no idea. All right. So we are on...
1.5, Jesse.
Yeah, that was generous too. Like I sat there during this film and I had to pause it a few times. And
Did we
get
watch
up
the same movie?
and walk away from the TV that I was that frustrated.
Interesting.
Yeah, sorry.
And I need to ask again. The twist.
Yeah.
Like when did you think you knew it, or
So
did you know it, or
one of the opening scenes when Zeke's sitting there at the table with the family, I just had in my mind he's a suspect the whole time, so I was just watching him with a close eye. And like I said, I didn't pick that the kid was going to be his.
yeah.
But I knew that there was something sus going on with him. And then obviously as it went on, I knew there was something going on with him and Steph. And then it just
Okay.
blew out from there.
So you picked the Steph thing too.
That scene in the car where...
You were just too smart for the movie.
So that bank.
No, I didn't pick the whole thing though.
That bank thing. That bank scene. Sorry. Were you expecting that to go down pretty similar to the way it did?
it was so obvious that Zeke was never in a position of fear whatsoever.
No, it was. But did you expect it to go down that way? Ish. Obviously not.
No,
Frame
no,
by
no,
frame,
100%. No,
Like,
not
you knew
100%.
Zeke wasn't going to happen because you saw him like the next day. Like we'd already seen him the next day and he was
Yeah,
fine.
you knew, yeah.
Besides the bullet wound.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're on social media. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram. We're at Flicks Forum, and we chuck a question up every week to go in theme with our show. This week, just one of those classic sort of quotes: "Is revenge a dish best served cold?" Good
Yeah,
one.
it is in this.
And I felt like
Bang.
this went in really well with this film.
Oh, no one saw it coming.
Yeah, so that will be on our social media platforms.
Great
Please,
question, Jesse.
thank you. I love the compliments today, even though I didn't like the film.
Yeah, I take it back.
It's all great except for your actual view on the movie.
Please subscribe, listen to us wherever you can. Next week, we are looking at the 2017 action-adventure film called Okja. It's directed by Bong Joon-ho, and it stars an ensemble cast, so I'm not even going to try and list them all off, but I will mention Tilda Swinton, Paul Dano, A. Hoon, and Boo Hee-bung. So
I feel like you left off a big name there.
I did
for yourself.
I did leave. Maybe we'll reveal that next week. Who's in this film? I have seen this film, Okja. So yeah,
I've not seen it, and I have been looking forward to this one since we started doing this podcast, so I can't wait.
so we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening as usual, and good to see you both.
Good to
Boys,
see you too.
Good fun.
Bye.